Yeah.
And during this time, and then she had some very, like we were talking about that Jerry Springer,
Yeah.
like seasons, like she did those. She talks about having like the Ku Klux Klan on the show,
Yeah.
and how that didn't go the way she wanted it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also the time period where we see her giving away, her annual favorite things and
Yeah.
giving stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much here. We back
You're back with another Founders Drive.
early this week.
Earlier this week.
They
yes.
don't care, but it's early this week.
And it's a nice little rainy spring day in good old Michigan. Good old Michigan.
Welcome back.
And we are going to dive into Oprah Winfrey today.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah.
Yeah!
She's
She's
a household name.
Yes.
An absolute household name.
Yes. I think she's one of the premier examples of a personal brand.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The richest black woman ever. Ever. The number one.
Yeah.
Like, no one's even, I'm sure there are some people that close, but like, she has the crown. And for good reason too. She built an empire and is still collecting money from that empire today.
Yeah. I think that what's interesting is how she built it, the unique path that she took, and how I would almost say that the empire, the business empire, is a product of her and how she's grown as an individual, and how she's refined her character and navigated media, navigated business, navigated all of the different spaces. But it's gonna be fun because I think we're gonna get into it. I think we're gonna start seeing what drives her and what shaped her, and how that in a business setting, but just in life, has turned into something that has paid her back dividends. And I think again, also goes back to the Dan Gilbert isms, is money and numbers follow, they don't lead.
Yes.
And that's an effect of something that was done in the real world. Right. And I think when you see something like that, it can be good or bad, right?
That's true.
But when you see something like Oprah's case, it seems like there's a lot more good that has caused all of the success that we're seeing. So it's really dope.
It's also, I think it might be the first person that we've done, I'm trying to remember, who has to do all of this that you're talking about publicly.
Yeah.
Who has to do it on a stage,
Yes.
in front of a camera, as like a weekly or nightly like talk show host.
Yeah.
It's
daily.
daily.
That afternoon 4 p.m. slot.
Yeah.
I just say that because I grew up
religiously remember
just coming home from school, seeing my mom watching Oprah, and I know that was just the case with so many other
millions,
mothers and women all over the country and all over the world. And I didn't really, I knew it intellectually, but I haven't really, even until like this week, I haven't really dug down and been like, okay, let's look at it from just the business lens. Let's look at her on the same plane with the other founders that we've seen that are in this billionaire class, because all of that is always business. But with Oprah, her angle to get to billionaire status is so different. Like a couple episodes back when we were talking about Warren Buffett, we talked about his favorability rating amongst billionaires. And he was at 52, and everybody else was at like 10, 15, 20. And then you go to Oprah, and at her peak, at the peak of her powers, when she was in the daytime living rooms of all of these different households, it was like you didn't even realize how much money how much money was coming in and how much she was doing. It felt so organic. Yeah. And I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it almost felt like she was a colleague of some of these other talk shows at the time. When in reality, she was not. She was, just owning them in terms of ratings, income, revenue, and all those other metrics.
Yeah.
But it didn't start. It wasn't all happy and sunshine.
No, not at all.
Certainly a tough upbringing.
Yeah, and so I think it's worth going back, setting the foundation of her timeline, like we normally.
And
do.
she's talked about this too. Like that's part of her thing is like she actually is I guess she's empathetic with her guests, but then also is very authentic in like telling you like she's also experienced this stuff. I think that gives her a really powerful connection with the viewer.
And well, I think that's what is the whole foundation of her business, is that connection and that authenticity, and we feel it. I was listening to a story about her upbringing, in just doing like a little bit of digging and research around this for this week, and just hearing her talk about her relationship with her grandmother early on. Her grandmother taught her how to. It's strange because there's a lot of pain there, but there's also a lot of foundational things that she learned that set her up to be the person that she is today.
Absolutely.
It's that bittersweet relationship. But she was born in Mississippi, 1954, January 29th.
The day of desegregation.
Yeah, day of desegregation. She talks about that. She said a few years earlier, it might have been a completely different trajectory. People wouldn't have even been able to think about her as in any other light, really. And again, that's something that we've seen a lot of people, I think, previous to the 1960s, talk about. Well, actually, not even that. I would say even after that, like people. Well, Bill Gates was in the 50s, but people talk about just the sheer circumstance of when they were born. And I think that might just be something when you have to get a little bit older to have that perspective. Like, hey, if I was born 5 years this way, 5 years that way, I might have missed the boat. Right. I might have been in a completely different trajectory because of the time that I was born.
Yeah, I think there is that, but then there's also like there's so many other people that are born near or around that date that like she's obviously taking advantage of those opportunities.
It's part of the story.
It's always right. It's always part of the story because it's like there's always somebody who doesn't take advantage of those opportunities and some people that do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously it's being born on the day. Yeah.
It's part of realizing like the moment that you're in and being like, okay, can I take advantage of this, or what's my hand?
Exactly. And playing it to the advantage.
Yeah. So, and I mean, just to kind of drop a little breadcrumb, there's food for thought in that. Like, we are also born in a time period that is going to be unlike any other time period before in recorded history, and won't be like anything in the future. And there's positives to that, there's negatives to that. And so being able to identify that and understand where we sit, where we fit, down even to the year, can make a real impact on how we navigate individually, moving forward, and how we kind of finish out our lives. But she was born in Mississippi. She was born to a teenage mother, teenage father, and they never got married.
Right.
And she ended up getting taken in by her grandmother, who was, we'll start with the positives, got her reading very, very early.
Yeah, that was, I mean, obviously something that will show up in a little bit here, but like, that's huge. I know some 3-year-olds.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And you're talking about someone that can read?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And it started by reading passages of the Bible, and she used to recite that at church, and people would call her the little preacher. But that set, I think, a foundation for her communication skills and her love of communication and speech.
Also being like the center of attention a little bit.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
Right, but understanding how to deal with the attention.
Yes.
And understanding how to be yourself in that. And attention. Getting praise for that early.
A lot of kids do that. Hey, mom, look at me. Dad, look at me. And it's like always like, look at me, look at me, look at me. But doing it when it's not your parent and you're in like a church setting where there's the community, and you have grown adults going, yeah,
child, ooh, yeah.
sure,
Right.
you know, it's totally different, and I think it does. It gives you a different perspective on how you can affect other people, like with your words, even at a young age.
And so while that was something that I think was, it's like it goes back to that, like some of the other founders that we talk on here about with Steve Jobs and his early I'm gonna use a word that's a little his early grooming to develop the personality that he has. The Zuckerberg, who was put in a situation where this was way later too. This was 11,
right, where he could code and get ahead of people.
Bill Gates, and then
same thing.
And so all of these different people that have Warren Buffett starting his business early, like all of those are really early circumstances. And I'll even take another quick detour. I think there's an opportunity to also look and say, what situations was I put in that I'm overlooking right now that I can tap back into?
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. Or, you know, it'll come out eventually where you're looking back on life and you go, oh, wow, that was actually a really pivotal moment. It's better to do it now and have that self-reflection so you can maximize that instead of waiting until you're on your deathbed.
But taking inventory is huge because there are these moments that shaped us that, you know, might have been rough, but have also been really powerful in terms of growing us. But it wasn't all great the relationship wasn't all great with her grandmother. In fact, there were big parts of it that were very traumatic. And I think what's really powerful is that in hearing her talk about it, she seems to have come to the realization that it was more her grandmother and later her mother not knowing how to deal with the circumstances of and working with what they had in terms of raising kids that she's come to understand. But at the time, I mean, her grandmother used to whip her, and that's, I mean, a lot of people have been through that situation and had beatings, and I think that's the extent that people know how to enforce discipline.
Right.
But there's also levels to it.
Of course.
You know, and it seemed like this was more on the extreme levels, and less with the intention. It was more like the default, hey, this kid's doing something I don't want him to do or her to do.
Yeah, default react for the
and then it's
switch.
Like, stop crying, right? But yeah, it's like she talks about how her being a really expressive kid and then getting whipped for expressing herself ended up being like a big emotional block for her. And that was something that she had to work out. And to your point that you were saying earlier, like, she worked a lot of these things out publicly.
Yes.
Which made for just, you know, a crazy connection and ultimately like great viewing, like great TV,
great retention.
Because it was real. I mean,
exactly.
I think you'll say do things because it makes great TV, and that can end up being the
Jerry Springer.
But I think the real stuff is the stuff that keeps people around and makes people feel like, oh, that moves me, that changed.
Which is interesting because she had a period of time where it was the Jerry Springer period, you know, but she had to work through it, and she did work through it.
And I want to get to that later too, because that was a pivotal moment too in terms of like, oh, that's not the show that I want to do.
But it is the popular zeitgeist at the moment. And so let me try it. Make sure, you know.
Well,
it's like stumble my way through
it. It's like clickbait.
It is.
She had her. Oprah had her moment with clickbait. That was a real thing. But yeah, and so that was a part that shaped her pretty early on, but I think going back and toggling to the let's talk about, you know, Oprah and the other, like, the benefits that came from that relationship early on, and her being raised by her grandmother is early on in I think it was kindergarten. She was with some of the kids and she was like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, I know how to say, like, write these big words, say these big words. And then she talks about how she, like, wrote a letter to the principal or her teacher, one of the two, like spelling the stuff out, or the teacher took it to the principal. The principal was like,
I don't believe you.
yeah. And so she wrote out the stuff, and then she ended up skipping 1 or 2 grades.
She went from kindergarten to second grade.
Yeah.
Which, I think it's also telling of the times, right? Like, we were talking about a kid who is being put into a mixed school, and they're definitely not going to look favorable on the black child who says they can read.
Yeah.
But all these other kids can't. And so I think it is a little bit of the product of the time. But I think, grateful that they were able to see through that and, like, think logically, okay, this kid is doing what I thought was impossible in front of me.
My God.
Yeah, let me actually change my thinking here.
Yeah.
And get this person in the right spot, which I think was a good move, because they could have easily been like, we still don't believe you.
Yeah.
And just kept her in the kindergarten. But yeah, there's also that moment of, like, and she talked about this a lot, of, like, knowing this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's a very early sign of that.
Yeah.
And then doing something to say, okay, let's take action and get me out of here.
Yeah. I think that whole internal navigation, that emotional GPS, it's interesting, because a lot of people talk about, following your intuition, and I think that's a relationship that you have to pay attention to and learn.
Yeah,
and
develop.
Develop, right? It's like, if you have taking that, like, concepts in a different situation, if you have a friend, or somebody, I'll say, and you talk with them once a year, you met them, not even once a year, like 3 times in a lifetime, you're not going to be able to intuit what that person wants.
Right.
Right. Or if you're in a sports situation, there's this, like, chemistry that we talk about.
Yep.
And that's the word that I'll use. It's like this chemistry between either a person, a significant other, or like a well-developed team. It's like you can see when people just know where
they're a unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just, exactly, they can kind of see where the puck is going, or they can understand what somebody's feeling and processing without a word being said. And I think that's also true with ourselves. And I think that's something that she knew early on. And it might just be from the range of circumstances that she's been in, where she's like, oh, I almost have to trust that a little bit. But that's something that I think has been, like you said, a key through line throughout her life, is understanding the power of trusting that. And she's really good at articulating it too. It doesn't sound like, ooh, when she talks about it. But I think it's really powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, round 6, she moved to inner city Milwaukee, where she was living with her mother, Vernita Lee, and her mother.
Family.
Yeah, and her mother was working long hours as a housemaid, and she was often left in the care of relatives. Around 9, she was repeatedly sexually abused, raped by a teenage cousin, then by other family members and a family friend. The abuse continued for years, and she didn't tell anybody. And this started to come out in her actions. She acted out, ran away. And at 14, she became pregnant, gave birth to a premature son who died shortly after birth. Her mother couldn't handle her, considered sending her to juvenile detention, but there wasn't any room. And there was also just a really strained relationship with her mother during that time. She talks about how she went there and she was like, oh, like, my mom doesn't like me. Like, feeling that.
Yeah. She was trying to offload me.
Yeah.
And the person at the detention center was like, we're booked.
Yeah.
Like, come back next week.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can get her a spot. But, yeah, it's also, like, a really traumatic upbringing that Oprah does talk about on some of her later shows. But it is something that she hid from the world, that she even says is, like, it was her greatest shame. And she's like, if this ever comes out, it'll end me. Obviously, that's not the case. She was able to navigate that and use it for a positive reason. But it is a very, very traumatic upbringing that most of us, God willing, will never have to experience.
Right. Yeah. She talks about how she said her mother never really acknowledged her. until she became the Oprah Winfrey
The
household
celebrity.
name.
Yeah. It's that's tough. I think as a parent, you want to give your kid that sense of like, oh, I'm proud of you. I see you. You know, like we are a family unit and stuff like that. And it can do a lot of damage if you don't provide your kid with just the basics of like, you know, I see you, I love you, I'm proud of you.
Yeah. She I think what was really powerful is I was listening to her talk about how later in life, on her mother's deathbed, how she found some closure in that relationship, and she ultimately said to her, in more or less words, or in her own words, but she was said to her that I love you. I understand that you were doing the best that you could with what you had, and I'm at peace with that, and I forgive you.
Yeah.
And she just talked about the power of forgiveness, and I mean, that's an incredible amount of empathy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you look back at kids and you're like, man, that's like to see an innocent kid go through a lot of that,
and then have the strength to
come back
to not hold on to that.
Yeah, because they say, they say success is the biggest revenge. It's like that's like, I mean, the biggest revenge, right?
Yeah.
But I think that there's also something that feels a little empty in terms of just, using that success to act out on people instead of being like, no, like I understand that you weren't, your cup was this big, and you couldn't. The tools you were working with just didn't allow.
Her mother and her grandmother both were like, "You're gonna be a maid." Like that would be the highest level of success that we can hope for you right now. Is that you're also gonna follow the family tradition and be a maid.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't happen, but like that was what you're talking about, like the tools and the mindset they were working with.
Yeah.
Because that's as far as they could see.
Yeah. Yeah. She said, she said her grandmother wouldn't in her, be able to conceptualize the success that she's had.
Most people aren't even to conceptualize it, but definitely a struggling childhood with a lot of just trauma. But I think coming out of there, when her first, stillborn child was born and died, this gave her like a second lease on life, a fresh start, a way to actually start again and accomplish all these things that we're about to get into.
Yeah. So she ended up, and this was a major turning point, and she ended up
around 14.
Yep, being sent to live with her father in Nashville, Tennessee. He was strict, structured, education obsessed. Required Oprah to read a book a week and write a book report on it. Set a curfew.
Yep.
Some funny stories around that, right?
Oh yeah.
Demanded academic excellence, accepted no excuses. And she said that he saved her life.
Right.
And it was through discipline, structure that she desperately needed, especially coming out of just where she had been the previous 14 years of her life.
Right.
She became an honor student at East Nashville High School, joined the speech team, placed second in the nation in dramatic interpretation.
She was doing like debates and stuff like that. Yeah.
Voted most popular girl at her high school, won Miss Fire Prevention Beauty Pageant, the first Black winner, and won Miss Black Nashville and Miss Black Tennessee in 1972. And so
that's wild.
Yeah.
Going from that kind of childhood to then winning beauty pageants. Yeah. That is a little bit of a different dynamic.
And being activated, I mean, like in school, engaging with people, finding her outlet, and there's this a thread of stories that she talks about in terms of like that change and the expectations that her father set. And she was like, the first time I came back with a C, he was like, no, we're not doing C's here, all right? That's not a thing anymore.
Right.
Okay. We want to excel, and education, I think, is extremely powerful. We talk about this a lot, but learning is changing behavior.
Yeah.
And so that's probably one of the biggest cases that we can see is going from one trajectory and then changing and being, living up to your potential and what you actually can do.
A lot of that, though, I really believe is that external influence, that nurturing. I've never met, and I know they're out there, 14, 15, 16-year-olds that are studious to that level, that care about those C's at that level. You know, I mean, they're out there, but like, especially, I would imagine you're mourning the loss of your kid.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're still young, and so it wasn't like, you know, a long life or anything, but it is still a life, and so you're mourning that. And I think it's a lot of like, he set that bar and then didn't let her falter there, to the point where it did eventually change her behavior, but it had to start from the external point of view.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of,
but that's like, I mean, the job of a parent, really.
Exactly. Yeah. But I know it's not like a smooth road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many teenagers are gonna push back against those kinds of rules?
Yeah. Especially if you're used to getting away with that.
Yes. And it, you didn't have any of that before.
Yeah.
But it is obviously something that was a huge turning point and set up for success down the line.
Yeah.
So certainly worth it. No matter how much kicking and screaming might have happened during.
Yeah, that is something where there's probably a lot more, headbutting that happened. It wasn't like she probably just walked in there and was like,
"Oh, A's now? Okay,
yeah, all right, cool, thank you."
Oh, curfew now? Sure.
Oh, you're right.
I wanted a curfew.
Yeah, please. But yeah, in hindsight, it's we talked about this last episode. It's like we just glossed right over those transition moments when it was probably like a pretty big adjustment. But I think another thing though was that she was early on, she had shown a talent for speech and communication in words, and that's something where it's like, if you are working with somebody who has abilities and gifts, then steering that in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not the case for everybody, but there are some people that just know internally, like, I could be doing better.
That's true.
And so having people see that, it's just actually something she talks about, is getting people to see themselves in that new light is really important. I think she speaks about that because it was something that she had to undergo.
100%.
Yeah, but that's also a big communication takeaway, is like, in communicating with somebody, there's a big requirement to have that person see themselves change before they can actually go and change.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so she ended up graduating in great standing, and she started at a radio station while she was still in high school.
Yep.
Got a part-time job reading news at a local black radio station. This attracted the attention for her natural voice and delivery, iconic. Won oratory contest that secured a full scholarship to Tennessee State University, and she studied speech communications and performing arts. At 19, she was hired by now WTVF in Nashville as a co-anchor for the evening news. Became the youngest news anchor and the first black female news anchor in Nashville's history. A college professor convinced her to take the job when she almost turned it down. She was afraid of losing her scholarship, but she took the job while she was still a student there. And it's funny when she talks about that story.
Right. Just the whole, like, what am I, what's the actual reason I'm going to school?
Yeah, she was like, I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna take it. And it was a professor that I think told her that she wasn't as great at another skill set.
Yes.
But then full circle came around when she was saying, hey, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to take this, or I don't know if I should take this job. And they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you go to school for the offer.
Yeah,
you got the offer.
Take it. Take the offer. Make a deal. Take the job. Let's go. Come on. So
that is something that we actually see with a lot of startup founders today. There's that choice of, do I want to start a startup or do I want to, go to college? And even Peter Thiel is offering kids money to start a business and drop out of college to pursue that. It's interesting. I think you really have to weigh it.
Yeah.
Like, it really has to be something that you are 100% in.
Yeah.
And obviously Oprah was, or that was what she was doing.
You're going to school for this specific thing.
Yeah, and so it makes sense, right? Like, don't drop out of school for a Wendy's job if you're a communications major. But yeah, if you're becoming the anchor or a newscaster, that's the goal. Yeah, that's amazing.
And there's also, some other threads would be Zuckerberg. You already have this thing that's going, like, run with it. There's also, Gates, this thing is also going. I'm gonna go and run with it.
I don't need the education to make this thing go.
Yeah, and then there's, I was listening to Kanye West talk about this too when, he came out with an album called The College Dropout.
Right.
But he was like, by that point, I already had a platinum record. I already had like a production deal.
Yeah.
And so when I was dropping out, it was to pursue it full time and push it as far as I could. Yes. But it wasn't because I just hated school. I didn't,
100%.
I didn't want to put in any work there. So everybody has their different paths. But yeah, this was one of those ones where, like.
And this is also still around the time where she still had a curfew.
Yeah. She talked about that. Her dad was like, all right, curfew's at 11. She was like, Dad, the broadcast is at 10. He was like, and it ends by 10:30. Be back at 11.
Be home by 11.
But it shows the the structure and the rules that he put in place. And it didn't stop her.
No.
It didn't stop her. So she was at the radio station. The station tried to
really screw with her.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't a very healthy environment.
Yeah.
She got the experience, but also was the target of, bullying, essentially, workplace politics, and it really...
Very real thing.
Yeah, it is. It even is today.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Obviously, there's some racial tension with the timing in which she's doing this. This is in the 70s. But yeah, I think it ended up in her essentially getting demoted.
Yeah.
And almost kicked out of the station. Yeah. But they had to find a way to keep her around.
Yeah.
Just due to the contract.
Yeah, so they put her on the daytime television. And that ended up being her big break.
Yeah, she said it felt like I was breathing air. Going from a newscast where you're reporting on people's tragedies and having to find a way to connect that to, story after story after story. And even like today, it's so bad.
Yeah.
This person died, or this person things got bombed, or
yeah.
we're in a war, or this person's a fraudster, or like
you like 7. We're gonna tell you 8 terrible stories, and then like,
cram them into your head,
and then like 2 like maybe good ones, and then we're gonna leave you on a high note because that's what we do. Back to you, Jim.
It's a different type of reporting. It's a different type of communication. And so that wasn't her element.
Yeah.
It was not her element. But yeah, they put her on, what was the name of that show? People are talking.
Yeah.
People are talking.
People are talking. And it's interesting because they put her there because they didn't want to pay her out. She was making $22,000. This is something she talks about all the time.
That's
she was
right.
Like, I was making $22,000. I'm like 22 years old. Her friend Gail, who's also very well known, was like, "Oh my God, you're gonna be making like $40,000 at 40 years old, and $60,000 at 60 years old." Which
was more than they ever thought they would make.
Yeah, which is also it's just crazy to think about like where she ends up.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to fire her because they didn't want to pay her the $25,000 that they have to. So that demotion came. It was like that so corporate.
Yes.
It's the political play of it.
And even after that, I mean, she talks about doing the show for a while and then finding out that she's not paid the same.
Yeah.
As a co-host.
Yes. Yeah,
it's a co-host. They're doing the exact same job. They're on the same air. And it's funny. I mean, this happened back in the 70s and 80s, but like the reason that they told her that they didn't want to pay her was something that I experienced in 2017. It's like that argument doesn't go away.
Yeah.
She walked in and was like, hey, like, I just found out my co-host, someone who's a co-host, doing the exact same job.
We are both hosting.
Yeah. Is getting paid way more money. And her boss was basically like, well, he has a mortgage to pay for. Do you have a mortgage to pay for? Well, he has kids, so he has college tuition to pay for. Do you have college tuition to pay for? And it was just these things where it's like, your personal life doesn't mean you are owed any more money because or less money based on your personal decisions if you're doing the exact same job in a workplace. It's wild to even think about that.
Your job, your life outside of that job should have no bearing on your effectiveness doing the job. You're getting paid to do the job. You're not getting paid for your life circumstance.
I don't even see the logic in it. It's wild.
And it was one of those things where she was like, again, going back on her EPS, her emotional guidance system.
Right.
She was I said EPS.
Emotional GPS.
Yeah, her emotional GPS.
Yeah.
Or emotional positioning system.
Sure.
But anyway, but her
Brand
but her intuition is she was
I'm
like,
not gonna argue this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get what I want here.
It's clear.
And yeah, and the validation I'm seeking isn't gonna come from here. So she started mobilizing and saying she didn't like quit on the spot, but she started architecting her path to get out of there.
Same.
You know, you said, "Got it, all right."
I did. I said, "Oh, okay." So
Right.
that's how. If that's how we're gonna play it,
Yeah,
then
like
I need to go buy a bunch of more assets because that's why I need the money. No, I'm kidding.
but it's like, how many places lose talent because of situations like that,
of mismanagement,
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, she ended up, you know, mobilizing, getting ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But on her, where,
This is right before going to
right when she was talking about her people are talking and the breathing part right there. So yeah, eventually she was recruited to Chicago.
AM.
AM Chicago.
AM
Chicago. A struggling morning talk show on WSTV. The show was dead last in the time slot, getting crushed by Phil Donahue, the king of daytime talk. Many in her circle were like, "Don't do it, don't go." And her friend Gail King, who's still her best friend, was one of the few who encouraged her to go and take the lead. And she moved to Chicago in '84. She's 30 at the time.
Right.
And within 1 month, AM Chicago went from last place to first place in its time slot. And within a year, the show was beating Donahue in his home market. And 1985, the show was renamed to the Oprah Winfrey Show. And I mean,
and less than 12 months later, she's now a millionaire.
Yeah.
This is something that we've also seen in some of these other founders that we talk about. Specifically last week, Sam Walton took a Ben Franklin store that was doing a measly $80,000 a year and turned it into something that was doing $250,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a very short time frame. And you see this out of these great founders. They're able to, in short time frames, turn these businesses around to be great successes.
And I think there's another thing to hit on is there's a lot of people that were like, "Don't go."
Right.
And I know some friends in my circle where it's like one person was like, "Hey, there's this really big job opportunity, I want to go." Another person's like, "Hey man, you might want to like take a little bit more time and prepare yourself because I don't know if you're ready for it." And again, it's one of those things where I don't think it's a malicious thing, although sometimes it might be. But I don't think it's a malicious thing. I think sometimes it's just people's fear talking. Like if they're imagining themselves in that situation, they're like,
I couldn't do that.
You know, so you can't do that. It's like, well, I'm not you, so I'm gonna go here. But that's a big thing, is that I think a lot of people talk from their position.
Yeah.
And it's important, not, especially as a founder, not to always listen to the noise. You gotta
don't overcorrect. Don't overcorrect.
And I was gonna say, don't follow, but listen in terms of, all right, they said this.
Take it with a grain of salt, though.
But what else is going on? Let's continue the list. Let's not just stop at what they said. What's their circumstance? Why might they be saying that? What's my circumstance? How are their things, different? And I think that all of that stuff needs to be factored in.
Yeah, because they're not going to have all of the knowledge that you have going into making a decision.
Yeah.
And while it's helpful to weigh those things, take it with a grain of salt. Don't overcorrect, unless you have a good reason to.
Yeah, big. So renames the Oprah Winfrey Show, 84 to 2011. This
25 seasons,
man, is where Oprah basically became part of the cultural icon, became a cultural icon and part of the culture at large,
household name.
And on top of that, there's all of these different things that she did along the way that I think are really cool.
Yeah.
She really built an empire. She took it from a show to what we know it to be today. So in 1986, and this is where we'll be able to get into some of the business stuff. But in 1986, the show went into national syndication through King World Productions. They earned $31 million in royalties and salary from King World. She earned $31 million in royalties and salary from King World's contract in 1987 alone.
Yeah.
The show earned $115 million during its first 2 years of syndication. In less than a year after going national, the show overtook Donahue as the #1 syndicated talk show in America. By '87, this is when she hit that millionaire status. That's when she started really making that dollar and outpacing her year 2000 of dollars that she was making. Correlation.
Yeah, I mean, meteoric rise to success. Just insane trajectory. Yeah. And during this time, and then she had some very, like we were talking about that Jerry Springer, like seasons, like she did those. She talks about having like the Ku Klux Klan on the show, and how that didn't go the way she wanted it to go. And this is also the time period where we see her giving away, her annual favorite things and giving stuff away. There's so much here that is really, I think, where we're going to be able to like analyze and give a lot of game in terms of how to build an empire like this and the things you might want to consider.
Yeah. And so kind of digging into like the one thing that was really interesting to me was when she had the Ku Klux Klan on.
Yeah.
And then I think another defining moment that was really close was she had a guy that was in a relationship and cheating on the relationship, cheating on his wife with his girlfriend, and they brought both of them on the show.
Yeah.
And then he revealed on the show that his girlfriend was pregnant,
right,
in front of everybody,
right.
And she was like, at that moment, I felt
the wife's disappointment,
right?
And shame.
Yeah.
And
she was like, yeah, we're not doing that again. And with the Ku Klux Klan story, she talks about how she started realizing that these guys were using this as a way
recruitment tape.
Yeah,
they literally played it at their rallies to recruit more Ku Klux Klan members. Like,
it's like a Dave Chappelle sketch, man.
It is a little bit like a Dave Chappelle sketch. But after that, it was like, never again. We're not going to give these people a platform.
And I think she followed up with them too. That's one of those things. It's like, if you wrong Oprah, she's going to try and hound you down and bring you back on. Because there was another story with a guy who wrote this book, A Million Little Pieces. And I remember hearing about the scandal back in the day, but this guy fabricated this tragic story of his life and went on the Oprah show, and she was like,
milked it.
Yeah, he was like, I love this. She was, doing her Oprah thing. Oh my God, buy the book.
Yeah.
And then it came out that he lied about a lot of it. She called him back.
Oh my God.
And was like,
you're a liar.
She was like, but so much worse. I feel like you deceived me. And I feel like you deceived America.
Putting them on the hot seat.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to do that.
Yeah. It's like, what are you going to be like? No, I don't want to go on here and talk about this.
It's good and bad, though. I think like she definitely faced some pushback from being so direct with like the Olsen twins, asking about their weight. It's like, all right, like we're not going to talk. You can see one of the girls there. It's like she's taken back by Oprah asking her how much she weighs. She's like, we're not talking about that. Like, this is a personal thing. And like this is going to become scandalous if we start talking about these, like, vapid.
And I think there's another thing too where she had lost a bunch of weight, because that's a big thing with her, right? And she brought out the whole 67
the
pounds.
wagon of fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that ended up being something that came back on her.
It was, because it was just a unrealistic expectation of losing weight if you don't have a full-time medical staff. It's just not something that the regular person can do.
And it's just, I mean, it's hard to even maintain that even when you do, because it's not a lifestyle change. And
well, I think it was a lifestyle change, wasn't it?
No. I mean, like, it's not a long lifestyle change. Like,
it's
not like something where it's actually.
What we were talking about,
because she gained it all back.
That's true. What we were talking about is a liquid diet. She was on a liquid diet for like 30 days.
Yeah.
And lost a shit ton of weight. But yeah, you're right. It's not something that's like, oh, let's go into the calories you're counting or the carbohydrates you're eating. It's like, no, just eat liquids for 30 days, lose a bunch of weight, and then we'll release you back into the world.
Yeah. And I think that it came back to, I don't know about, I think haunt might be a strong word. Because I think there was also a lot of connection that was built from that, because she kind of said, all right, I mean, like, I can't hide from it, right?
Yeah. I think she owned it well.
Yeah. But I think that there's the whole aspect of you lean into this thing and you're like, hey, check this out, and then it's so visibly, oh, I'm gaining the weight back.
Right.
And you can't hide from that. And so, to your point, she leaned into it, and I think ended up turning that into something that allowed her to connect with people more.
She turned it into money.
But it can't have been easier, though.
That's true.
Like, it can't be easy when you, like, publicly
are
push something, and then afterwards you're like, oh, visibly everybody
are the embodiment of the anti.
Yeah.
No, 100%. But I think there's more to the story there too, in terms of she actually made it a business success.
Yeah.
During that time when she was doing all these things, she started to introduce more healthcare products on her show. A lot of them weren't really, helpful, but they were like those you know, what do you call them, formulas, or like pills that you would take, vitamins, stuff like that. But she ended up getting Weight Watchers equity and partnering with them, which that ended up becoming hundreds of millions of dollars in equity that I think she still owns today.
Yeah.
Off of that kind of public figure going through a weight loss journey.
Yeah. But I don't think you can, and this goes to the personal brand thing. I don't think you can turn that into a business success without establishing a connection with people that trust you. Like, if people see that you're just...
But wouldn't you... She had the trust before she did that stunt, I'm going to call it. Not stunt, but you know what I mean. Like, before she decides to put that out to the world, she has years and years and years of trust.
But I think it was I think it was the gaining back and being like, all right, I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
That ends up connecting. Like, I think if you... And this is the example, is that if she said, I'm gonna go and sell this liquid diet, you drink liquids for a few months, yada yada, and then you lose 67 pounds. If she tried to sell that, being a public figure,
she'd be,
it wouldn't have worked, because right away she would have rebounded, and it's like, oh, you're just
out of touch, and
and with yourself, and it's not working for you.
Right.
And I think people look at that, but I think the thing that takes it to the next level is, okay, I'm not going to try and sell you this yo-yo diet thing that is going to be like the magic formula. I'm going to sell you on my journey.
The story, yeah.
And that's where I think it's a slight shift that even today we see. I think some people will like get a brand deal and try and flip that into something. And it's like, it feels hollow.
Yeah.
But there are people where you're like, oh no, I trust that this person uses this thing. It's part of their life, and they're trying to solve a problem for themselves, and this might have helped them, and it might be something that I'm willing to explore. So,
yeah, it's very interesting the way that you do that in a public stage too.
Yeah,
and which is everything she does is a public stage.
Yeah, we're all looking at that.
Yeah.
So something that was like really cool around that time is in the 80s. She founded Harpo Productions, and she used that to as a vehicle to start buying, or to take over the production of her
vertically
show,
own,
and then and then vertically own the whole production of the Oprah Winfrey Show. So she negotiated, rather than a higher salary, she wanted more ownership in the show that she made. And so that's something that I know that you had some
well, I know, like, traditionally, right, like if you have a show, you might pay a production company to come in and produce it, and so they're going to want a cut of the proceeds of the show. And so if you could own that step and be the one on the show doing the acting, or not acting, but you know what I mean, being the center of attention, now you're the host and the producer. You're essentially double dipping, in a positive way, over all of the proceeds that come in on that show.
Yeah.
And that lets you, make a shit ton more money. But yeah, around this time is when Jeffrey Jacobs comes into the picture. Jeffrey Jacobs is a lawyer, and is credited as being the business architect around this whole Oprah show, Harpo Productions syndicate that launched her into becoming the multi-billionaire that she is today. And so it's one of these things that is almost always a footnote in some of the research that we do. But partnerships are a huge thing. I can't think of a billionaire, even if they are self-made, that can do it all by themselves.
No.
And so it's all about partnerships. And this is something that we're actually going to explore a little bit on the Super Secret episode here, which will be linked in the description. And also we'll talk about that a little bit here. But partnerships and how you can leverage partnerships in the best ways to make your business bigger than it is today.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and I think that's like a huge thing, is vertically owning that pipeline to really be the empire and not just the show, like Maury or Jerry Springer.
I think what gets you to $1 million is what is different than what gets you to $1 billion.
Yes, absolutely. You can be the host and be a millionaire, But if you want a billionaire status, you got to own the whole pipeline.
Yeah. So, around that time, she also dabbled into acting. Got an Academy Award nomination on her
Color
first.
Purple.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Academy Award on her first role.
Yeah.
Nomination, for Best Supporting Actress. She, and again, this just kind of speaks to her whole like brand. And I think what's also cool about that, I was watching this video the other day on how a lot of people confine art to specific industries, when in reality art is an expression of yourself. And so if you really, your art should be able to move across different industries. Like that expression of you as a person should be able to move across different industries, especially the more focused and centered you are.
Yeah.
The analogy I like to think of is, a lot of people think of it as sidestepping and jumping into different boxes, but it's more like you're the pin in the middle of a wheel, and you're turning around. And so if you're doing it right, you're not jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
You're just pivoting and turning in the same spot.
I like that. It's interesting too because of the medium is the same.
Yeah.
But very different context.
Yeah.
You know, when I go to a movie, I'm not expecting a newscaster.
Yeah.
When I go to the news, I'm not expecting a drama.
Yeah.
And so it's the same medium, but obviously a different taste or a different flavor.
And again, moving into this whole place after she started moving into like really owning her whole show, we start to really see her brand like skyrocket and take off. She started Oprah's book club that, you know, started to really catapult this whole Oprah effect. Every time she mentions something that she does, it spreads like wildfire. And when you're in the afternoon slot of every household in America,
You pull.
you know,
That's motion.
Yeah. And it's like, and things start to spread. It's like she, you know, it's a big thing is like, people have called Joe Rogan the male Oprah of this generation.
Sure.
And what's crazy though is she was pulling 10 to 20 million viewers a day
on antenna TVs.
Yeah.
Rabbit ear TV.
And that's like, imagine podcast getting 20 million views, 15 million views every day they launched an episode.
Well, the stat that I like about that is 10 million views today almost always mean 10 million people. 10 million views on a TV set could mean 20, 30, 40 million people.
Oh yeah.
My whole family's watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little bit different.
It's on at the dentist office.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different in terms of the scale in which you're actually providing viewership.
Yeah, that's insane. And yeah, man, I think that there's like, this is coming more into the more recent times. But in the 2000s is really when she really hit her stride. The business going. She started like O Magazine. She started the Oprah Winfrey Network.
Own. Yes. And that's another vertical integration play, where it's, okay, so I can produce my own shows, I can star in my own shows, but they still have to go somewhere to be played for the audience. What if I own that too?
What if I own that? And you know, the name on, I mean, own is perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so that would launch right after she finished her daytime talk show.
Something else with the talk show that people may not put the dots together.
Yeah.
The two other famous examples, Dr. Phil was launched.
Yes. Yeah.
And Dr. Oz.
Yes.
Two really, and they're still around today,
Dr.
honestly.
Phil and Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
Those were huge.
They still are.
Yeah.
They receive a little pushback for the kinds of shows they are, but you really can't deny how much success they've had in viewership and getting people's attention.
I mean, that format was
the rage.
Right. So yeah, I mean, she saw a lot. So before starting on, she, in May 25th 2011, she the show came to an end after 25 seasons, 4,561 episodes. At its peak, the show reached 10 to 20 million daily viewers, broadcast in 145 countries, won 47 daytime Emmys, generated over $2 billion in total revenue across its run.
Yep. And then obviously during that time was the famous Pontiac G6.
Yeah, giveaway.
Yeah,
Which had its own controversy too.
I didn't realize that Pontiac paid for those cars.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was like an $8 million for like 300-ish cars.
And then the people had to pay taxes.
Well, they did, and I think that's pretty normal. Yeah. That's pretty normal. And they did, to give them some credit, they did offer a cash prize if they didn't want to pay the gift tax. So there was an option there. And I think that's more than reasonable. Yeah. If I'm giving you something, pay the tax on it. Yeah. But I can understand if some people don't want to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, you get a car. Like, and there's all these other cultural moments where, you know, she introduced Obama on that show and gave a huge endorsement.
Just like the books, she was incredibly influential in moving the masses towards ideas and people.
Yeah. You saw, you know, Tom Cruise jumping up and...
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah.
I'm in love.
There were so many iconic moments that were then played on like the news networks that were like, oh, look what happened on the Oprah show.
Yeah. So then in the Oprah Winfrey, it started out as a disaster. Low ratings, programming misfires, hemorrhaging money.
The network.
The Oprah Winfrey Network, Discovery absorbed approximately $330 million in losses during turnaround years.
Discovery was the company that they partnered with to put this on the networks.
Yeah. And then Oprah admitted to nearly having a nervous breakdown over her own struggles. Had I known that it was this difficult, I might have done something else. That's a line that a lot of founders say at one point in their journeys.
Yeah, what's the famous one is just chew glass and stare into the abyss.
Yeah, that's what Elon says, which is... I can see how people interpret it that way.
Most people wouldn't do it, though.
Yeah.
If that was the case, most people wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And then a lot of it is the magnitude of the way that they're doing it at the time. It's not like it is today.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing to know. But she ended up partnering with Tyler Perry, and he created a lot of scripted dramas that delivered 2 to 3 million weekly viewers, and then eventually it became profitable about 4 years after the launch.
Yep.
And in 2020, she sold most of her Discovery stake in exchange for Warner Brothers Discovery shares. And I mean, she owns most of OWN.
Yeah.
You know, right now. And again, she's also navigated the business terrain pretty well. Again, like you were saying, that she's had some really good people behind her. And I think that that's a thing to always call out and highlight, is that the journey's not, you know, gone out alone. You know, it's something where there are a lot of people. Some people like to stay in the shadows and be like, hey, I'm chilling right here. But again, it's something that is really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. We can go into like some philanthropy.
Yeah.
I have like the one thing that I think drives Oprah, and something she talks about, is this calling to a higher energy.
Yeah.
Some calling to a higher being. She calls it God, whatever it is. She really believes that you have to be in tune with that and figure out what your purpose is here on Earth, and then chase that relentlessly. And I can see a lot of that in the journey that we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Is that like understand where you're at and where you're going, and the context of what's around you.
Yeah.
You know, to really make the most of what we have, and to recognize that like there is a higher power, and you know, whatever you believe in, whatever you call it, there is something that is connecting all of us.
Yeah. And it's like you can't. I mean, you are severely handicapping yourself if you're trying to ignore that. That's the one thing that I've learned.
Yeah.
It's like you need to tap into all the things that are around you to really get the most out of it. And it ends up being the most, you know, the most fruitful. Like there's so much, I mean, there's so much that we can get into.
It gets a little bit religious, I guess, or like not religious, maybe is the right word, or spiritual.
Spiritual, I think is the
would
word.
Be a better word.
I think it's probably the better word, but I also think that it's a word that she would use, because she asks her people when they come in there, like, what's your spiritual practice?
Yes.
I think something that's really cool is that the word spirit has that root of spire, like breath. And so
interesting.
Your spirit, the way that I interpret it, is largely what moves you, what motivates you. Your breath is basically the thing that is always going. it's the thing that's your life force.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
so what's that thing that keeps you, like, energizes you?
Inspired.
Yeah, what inspires you?
Yeah.
And I think that you having a spiritual practice that nurtures that is really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
100%.
I think there are stories that people get a lot of inspiration from, and they become religious about those stories and ritualistic about the stories. But I do think at the core of it is a spiritual,
an innate like
practice. Like
yeah.
that. I mean, if any living, breathing thing has a life force in them, you could see it. They're animated. They're alive. Right. So it's like, what do you do to nurture that? Yes. And I think that's really at the core of it, right? And I think that's something that she seems to really be in tune with, and I think that's really powerful. Do you talk about Drive, and she talks about how she was like, I am not an interviewer, and she's like, that's not what I do. It's I am here to what was the specific? She said it a couple different ways. At one point, she was like, I'm here to teach.
It's really connecting with people and like telling their story.
Yeah,
the storytelling aspect is really her strong suit, and then doing it in a way that feels like, oh, either I would ask that question if I was sitting in that seat, and like that's what we really want to know, or getting people to open up about things that they would never have opened up for, you know, if it wasn't Oprah talking to you. I think that's like a really powerful way to engage with people. And through that, she's able to achieve her passion or purpose, which is the storytelling aspect.
Yeah, and the connection, this like the creativity, like all those different things that really people in the connection is like what people are looking for.
Yeah.
But what we label it as is not what she's really doing.
And she says that too. I think now in her later years, she's recognized that people will call it a TV show, and she'll call it, no, I'm connecting with, I'm living my purpose.
Yeah. Cool. You want to shift over in Secret?
I think we will. Yeah, we'll shift over there and talk about some of the stuff that we specifically are applying to our business practices, and some more game for you guys.
Yeah, get into the psychology a little bit more of Miss Winfrey. And yes, so let's do it.
Love it. See you next week for another Founder. Peace.